Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. So yesterday we got more of our Rockwool installed. We got the living room done, the bathroom done, and even behind the stairs where we have a weird crevice that we had to get it in. So we're moving right along and we're getting better at it. And now we just have the shop to finish off. And then after that, it'll just be the ceiling in the kitchen and the shop. We're gonna get started on that today. I mean, just as we're going along, it's been incredible hearing the difference with the sound. It sounds so different. We usually play music when we're working with a speaker, and usually we can just set it up outside and we'll still hear it when we come inside, but now you come inside and it's playing out there and it's just like muffled. So it's been pretty cool experiencing that, and it just walking around the house feels more solid. So pretty cool, and we're gonna go ahead and get started on the shop. Alright, so we finished up our shop walls, and I said this last time, but really the most tedious part for us is just moving stuff around. Luckily, everything in the shop was on wheels, so it wasn't that bad moving it around. Now we're gonna start working on the ceiling in the kitchen, and one of the things we were doing in the shop is putting these little chunks in right at the top of the rafters behind the Simpson hurricane ties. So we're gonna do that just so that we don't have to cut the strips that we're about to put up. So we're gonna start by doing all that, and then we'll go through and put all of our bats in the ceiling. And we're gonna leave one out so that we can test it with a thermal camera later. And then on the ends, we're also gonna leave one out so that we can just look and make sure that the water's not leaking in, because we have had some water leak in there in the past. So we're just gonna start with this, and hopefully we can get the rest of it done. The spacing isn't perfect on all of our rafters, so we have these little metal rods to hold up the insulation in those places. We found that you can put it up there like that and then slice it right at that where the rod is, and it'll go up into the insulation, so it's not compressed as much. All right, so now that we're done with the insulation in the kitchen, we want to do some tests with our thermal camera. So we're going to remove one whole section of bats here. And then on the other side of this wall, we have a 4x8 sheet of Comfortboard that we're going to take off too. So we're going to look at the difference in places where there's no insulation versus just the Comfortbatt, also just the Comfortboard, And then also we'll get to see some of the thermal bridging going on with these studs. Because of our window here, we ended up having these jack studs, so we have sections where there's just 4 studs in a row, so we'll get to look and see if we have some heat loss from all those studs. But unfortunately it's probably only in the 50s today, so we're just gonna have to crank up the heater like crazy in here, and hopefully we'll be able to see it with the thermal camera. And if it doesn't work out, we'll just try it another day. But we're gonna take out this bat. So now's a good time to mention that we installed this wire for a future oven. We're not really planning on using it, but we just wanted to run it before we put all this in, just in case we ever decide we want one in the future. So there we go. Now we'll go remove the comfort board on the other side. All right, this thing is crazy. We're about to heat it up. It's gonna get hot in here. All right, so we got the FLIR set up outside, doing some tests, starting to heat up inside. Not too hot yet. I just checked a second ago, it was 66 inside, and it's about 50 outside. Can definitely start to see right here, the one that doesn't have any insulation. And I can definitely see the difference between comfort board and no comfort board. You can see on these ones that we have sitting out, we left them out because they were a little wet, but on the thermal camera, the blue is exactly where they're wet, which is pretty neat.
You're seeing evaporation, just like sweat cools you. It cools that area as it evaporates, so it's actually a really good place to find. You can use FLIR to detect leaks in the house as well.
The torpedo heater's blowing.
You see the mass of the concrete. So the concrete has a lot of thermal mass, so it's not heating up as fast as other things are.
Wow, that's crazy. Look at that. It really is torpedoing out of there. You can see it's got a little spin on it. That's crazy.
I guess what's pretty amazing is that the comfort board does as well as it does right now.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
So you see the studs under the window. See that? And then there's a stud right down there. This is helping it not print through as much, and then you go over here. And of course
That's no insulation right there.
That's no insulation.
All right, now we're looking at the bat that we left out on the roof. You can definitely see that one, right? Oh, you can even see the bat that we left out on the side of the house in that shot.
On the side too, on the edge. Even though there's no insulation in the corners, it actually is doing really well.
We built this section of wall identical to our shed walls with 2x4 studs, 16-inch on center, 1/2-inch OSB, Tyvek, 2 sections of R13 comfort bats, and the external comfort board. Now, no one's house needs to stand up to this sort of torture, but it makes us feel safer knowing that the entire outside of our structure, including roof, will be wrapped in comfort board. Because we plan on installing milled tulip poplar, board and batten, like we did on the tool shed. We often burn large brush piles from cleaning up the land and milling. We've worried in the past about sparks and embers that launch into the air. There's always been a little apprehension that somehow they might reach the shed. We'll remain cautious, but this test definitely extinguished a lot of our fears. See absolutely nothing on the other side. R factor is just a measure of how fast heat enters in the summer or exits in the winter. By adding the additional interior insulation, we're effectively slowing down the heat entry and exit, which results in less cost and less energy use to maintain a comfortable living space.
It's just glowing red, but it's not burning away at all.
With our construction, the quality of windows and sealed installation, the OSB, R-Guard, GAF Storm Guard, and Tyvek, we stop much of the airflow. By installing just a single external Rockwool layer, R5 on the walls and R8 on the roof, we can heat and cool the shed as Dad demonstrated in the snowstorm.
It's crazy.
Still warm. You can definitely see it on this side where it was going. Now, get on this side. Nothing.
Right?
Nothing. There's some water was right here. There's a wet piece of that, but nothing over here.
All right, so we just torched this for like 10 minutes straight. Still warm, right? Yeah, still pretty hot. But we're gonna see if the Tyvek is still okay underneath. Oh yeah, it's perfect.
Isn't that crazy? I mean, it didn't do anything to it.
Did
Not
nothing.
even this. Can you see this in the camera?
Absolutely nothing here. And also, all this burn mark, it's just discolored. It's not, it hasn't changed in any way.
No.
It's crazy.
That is unbelievable. Like it doesn't have any temperature change on the other side.
Yeah, not at all. It feels so good to finally have all this Rockwool done. It sounds different. It's just incredible. And we have some safe and sound to put between the walls and in the floor, and also some comfort board to put up on the roof. So that's probably gonna make a really big difference too. And I think one of the big things we learned with our first test is that just the comfort board alone really does its job. I had mentioned the snowstorm a couple videos ago, and Dad was stuck up here for about 10 days and was able to keep this place heated with just the comfort board on the exterior walls. I think that really says something, that just that alone was able to stay warm in here. So it's like everything from now on is just a bonus. So we're really close to being done with our insulation. And then after that, we'll have our electrical to finish up. We'll have the septic tank and then also the roof. But then after those are done, it's just finishing work from there. So we'll get to do siding and on both exterior, interior, and we'll be able to mill that with wood from our land, which will be really cool. We've been waiting for 15 months now. That's how long that all the Rockwool has been just sitting out in the field. We've had to move it around. We've had to look at it. And we've really wanted to do it. And now it's such a relief to have it done. We're glad we have it done. And yeah, it's just gonna be great. So big thank you again to Rockwool for providing it, and also to Michael Crane for coming out last week and helping us. It was just incredible. I want to give a huge shout out to everyone that's liked the video and subscribed. The last video, you guys just blew it up. It was great, and we really appreciate it. Thank you to everyone who's backed us on Patreon. Really appreciate your support, and we'll see you guys next time.